Did Disney just re-release The Lion King in 3D to see if we'd pay to see it twice? And we did? It's day 133 of 365. Today's movie, The Lion King. If you're looking for a club to dive deeper into movies, we do these daily reviews as well as monthly deep dives over on my Patreon. Go to patreon.com/TicketStubMovieClub to join. This one's directed by Roger Allers and Rob Minkoff and stars Matthew Broderick, James Earl Jones, and Jeremy Irons. This is the movie of my childhood. It came out in 1994, the year that my sister was born, and I think I've seen this movie hundreds of times in my life. We burnt out the VHS that we had growing up. Like, it couldn't play anymore because we played it so many times. Because of that love, we had to go see it in 3D when it re-released in 2011, and I'm not gonna lie, the 3D was excellent. I looked up an interview with one of the animators that worked on the 3D recast of this movie, and he mentioned that depth was deeply important to the original animation, so that made his job that much easier when he was adapting it into 3D. He specifically called out not wanting to make it gimmicky and not having hands pop out at the screen like 2011 was doing. This is, I think, the 6th or 7th 3D movie that I saw in 2011. Revisiting this movie in 2025, what's not to love? Even my Letterboxd review says that it holds up on like the 100th rewatch. This is just one of the best movies ever made. There's not a whole lot more that can be added to the conversation since 1994. Even if we get into talking about the CGI remake or the sequels or the CGI sequels, the unbeatable video game that I did beat as a kid, there's just a lot of Lion King out there. So let's jump into it and talk about the 3 things that I love about The Lion King. The first thing that I love about this movie is the score. If you tell me that you're gonna get Hans Zimmer and Elton John together to write your score and soundtrack, I'm sorry, you can't get anything but bangers out of that. When I started off playing music with a band, we actually had a Lion King songbook that we used for our warm-ups and to learn music theory together. We were all kind of like musicians in training, and this was such a deeply impactful musical score on me that we did a lot of Lion King covers in our garage before we ever played out for the world to see. Every single song in this is a banger. Like the villain song, a banger. The opening sequence, banger. Simba's song, banger. Even the love song is like one of the best in Disney's catalog. Song for song, bar for bar, this has to have the most #1 bests out of their entire movie catalog. Sometimes it's unbelievable when I sit down and rewatch this movie and think, wow, there's not a single song on this that I don't like. Usually in a Disney movie, there's one worth skipping, right? This has no skips. Outside of those songs, you know that they're good because it goes to Broadway. Like, the Broadway aspect of this is a real indication of the quality of the music overall. There's a lot of inspiration from around the world, which was new in the 90s. This was something that, taking it to a world stage with Disney and having this be the big thing, was kind of shocking for everyone. But it was shocking in a good way. This is an important way to embrace other cultures. Even the music that comes out of the later movies is excellent because the bar is set so high. Even the music in the old SNES video game is awesome because there's such advanced musicianship going on within the writing and performance of these songs that you can't help. The bar's just too high. There's too high of a bar to get over, so everyone's shooting for the moon and ending up in the stars because of it. The second thing that I really dig about this movie is all the little bits. This is something I've brought up in other videos. The thing that really makes a movie for me won't always just be the plot. Like, a good plot is important, but I can honestly avoid a good plot if the movie's gonna have a bunch of great little bits that are memorable. And The Lion King is a killer for this one. The one that comes to mind first is a literal bit within the movie. When they're trying to invade Pride Rock towards the end of the film, instead of making that a whole sneaky high tension sequence, they cut the tension by making it funny. They have Timon and Pumbaa dress up in grass skirts and do a luau bit because that's the kind of movie this is. It's a cartoon after all. They want it to be fun and funny. Even before Timon and Pumbaa show up in the movie, we have the hyenas doing bits for us as well, and they end up being the classic comedy relief and the frightening villain for the first act of the movie. I don't know how this movie's able to handle juggling the two and making the villains really funny. Scar's obviously gonna give us that gravitas that really pushes us over. He's Lion Hitler after all. But his lackeys and the hyenas, and having them be laughing because that's key to the characterization of hyenas, they laugh, right? Not only is it great writing, but it's just done to great effect. They make the first chunk of this movie so fun to watch. The lions aren't without their bits as well, and so there's just so much comedy that's being balanced in this like high stakes Shakespearean kind of plot layout. That this is what Disney is best at. They know how to balance high drama and comedy with terror and relief. You get everything, and so this makes it a really cathartic, emotional experience overall. Experiencing the whole gamut makes things that much more fun. If you're funny all the time, that's a high bar to keep running. If you're scary all the time, that's hard to stay in that mindset. Knowing when to cut the tension and knowing when to cut to comedy, or knowing when to cut the comedy with tension, is a really key thing. The third and final thing that I love about this movie is the way that it reminds me of my family. Yeah, I think anyone could talk at length at the stuff that this movie is good at, and I've mentioned two of the most popular things about the movie, right? So let me do something more personal. There's a chapter in my book, which you can check out over on my Patreon, where I talk about why this movie is so important to me. My sister was born the year that this movie came out. She's also a Leo, which is the sign of the lion. And so I've always associated her and The Lion King with each other. This is a summer movie when it came out as well, so it's kind of all working in tandem with each other. This is like a cosmic kind of wink at my family. And all of us kids loved watching this movie together. All 5 of us would sit down and watch this from front to back and then rewind the tape and watch it again. That's how we ended up burning it out. All 5 of us could, at the drop of a hat, I think, sing all of these songs top to bottom. The lyrics are just stuck in the back of our heads forever. And I love that. I love the childhood memories that I have associated with this movie. It's nothing but just like classic nostalgia. But more importantly, it's deeply like familiar to me and my family. Not just us, but our cousins as well. We watched it with our cousins a lot growing up. So anytime I watch this movie, I think about my immediate and my surrounding family and how important this was to us. We would act it out and play the characters. Our make-believe time could be turned into Lion King time whenever we're going through a phase of just loving this movie. The Lion King is deeply important to my family, and so I'm sure it's important to your family as well. This is normally the point in the video where I ask what you think, but I'm gonna assume everyone watching this loves The Lion King. I'd love to hear about the way that this movie impacted you and your family in the comments. We're gonna switch gears hard from family-friendly animation to R-rated Jason Statham action. We're talking The Killer Elite next, and I'll see you tomorrow.